This video is going to give you the tools you need to make your songs sound super wide without them sounding weird and phasey like when you use a stereo enhancer. Personally, I really don't like to use any type of phase adjustment or stereo enhancing tools on my master bus because it distorts the phase coherence between all the different elements in the song. And it gives it an unnatural width that kind of is confusing when you're listening to the song. And it's hard to pinpoint where everything is spatially in your mind. So I think there's a much better approach to this. And in this video, I'm going to give you my top 3 different tricks that I use to widen out a song without it sounding weird and phasey. One of the plugins that I'm using in this video is totally free, and I have it listed in my favorite free mixing and mastering plugins guide, which you can download in the description. So check that out if that sounds interesting to you. All right, the session today is by an artist called Centric. He does a lot of hip hop, R&B stuff. He's super, super talented. So if you like what you hear in this session, go to the description and check out some of his other work. All right, we're just gonna play a loop of the chorus of this track.
I'm just trying to get to you. I'm just trying to make a move. I've been breaking all the rules for you.
So it sounds really, really good. It's pretty wide, but I think we can squeeze out a little bit more width out of this track. So the first trick we're gonna do is use a plugin called MSED. This is by a company called Go. This is totally free, so you can just go and download it, load it up in your session, and we're gonna do it the simplest way possible. All we're going to do is raise the gain of the side information up. Now, this works pretty well in mastering, but you have to be careful because really quickly, you're going to shift the focus from the center channel, which contains the vocals and the really, really important elements, to the side information, okay? That's gonna have maybe more of the background harmonies or some of the reverbs and things like that. So we have to find a sweet spot and be careful with this because we don't want to really change that too much where we're losing the emphasis on the most important point, which is the vocalist, okay? All we have to do to add a little bit of width is increase this side gain. Let me show you what it does to this mix. Here we go.
Just trying to get to you. I'm just trying to make a move. I've been breaking all the rules for you. I'm just trying to keep my cool.
So you can hear it starts getting wider and wider and starts maybe distorting a little bit. At that point, we've done way more damage than what we want to use this plugin for, okay? We want to keep this subtle. We just want to add a little bit of natural width to this mix. Best way to dial this plugin in is to make big, quick adjustments back and forth here. And ideally, you wouldn't even look at the screen. You just close your eyes and listen, and then move this back and forth until you still have the vocalist centered and is the main focus of the song, but you've brought out some of the spatial elements and some of the side information to give it a sense of width. So let's do that right now. Let's just close our eyes or not look at the screen and then bounce this up and down and try to find the sweet spot, and then we'll see what the number is at the end, okay? So we'll start at 0. Here we go.
I'm just trying to get to you. I'm just trying to make a move. I've been breaking all the rules for you. I'm just trying to keep my cool.
So for me, about 0.6 to about 1 seems to be a sweet spot where we're bringing the side information up and closer to the listener without it getting in front of the vocalist. And that's a very simple way to add a nice widening effect without it changing anything too much and not making it unrealistically wide. Now, if you've seen some of my other videos, you know I love this plugin by Waves. This is called Center. It's kind of like a hidden gem. It's like a sleeper plugin. A lot of people don't use this for anything or like it, but I think this is like kind of a secret sauce for adding width to your mix. Again, we have a center and sides fader. Now this does more than just raise the side information up. It's gonna apply some slight EQ and do some other things. All we're gonna do, same thing. We're just gonna push the sides up, try to find that sweet spot where the sides start coming closer to the speakers, closer to the listener, without overtaking the center vocal. Here we go.
I'm just trying to get to you. I'm just trying to make a move. I've been breaking all the rules for you. I'm just trying to keep my cool. 'Cause you got me in a...
Cool. Again, we're at about 1 dB. I think we could probably push it a little bit farther with this plugin. To me, this sounds a little bit more natural than just raising the sides. And it seems to fill in some of the gaps that I hear when you're just increasing the side volume. It can sometimes punch holes in between the center channel and the speakers. And this center plugin does a nice job of spectrally filling those gaps in my mind. Okay, so that's another really simple trick. And then you can also automate this if you want a big, powerful chorus to maybe add a dB or a half a dB when the chorus hits, just to give it a little bit more excitement and a little bit more width and space. Let's talk about my third and final trick for this. This is something totally new that I just started doing, and I've been experimenting with this, and I definitely like what it does, but it doesn't work on all the mixes all the time. What we're doing is using Wave's Abbey Road's RS-124 compressor. You can probably use any compressor. I've had the best luck with this one. And what we're going to do is set this up in a sidechain mode where we're only compressing the side information. So we're giving the sides a little bit of saturation, and then by reducing that dynamic range, we're able to increase the level without anything really jumping out of the mix, right? We're adding this control and this glue that only lives on the sides. So here's how to set up this plugin to do this. We have to click this expand button, and then we want it in the monitor to be stereo mode. We want to change this comp type to MS. So we have to turn it all the way here. This stands for middle inside, okay, or sum and difference. What we want to do is we don't want to compress the middle channel. We want that to have the normal dynamics, okay? Our ears are very, very sensitive to the dynamics in the center of the spatial image. And in all of my testing, I find that I have a lot harder time gauging dynamics on the sides, okay? So we can be a little bit more aggressive without our ears saying, hey, the sides are way too overcompressed. What we're gonna do is take the mix knob for the middle channel, this M, turn to 0. That means it's not compressing the middle channel at all. It's only gonna be compressing the side information. I don't really have a high pass filter set up because the sides usually don't have much bass energy. Don't really need to worry about that. And then the level of the widening is basically going to be controlled by this mix knob, okay? I find that I want to keep it around 15% or less. Otherwise, it starts getting unnaturally wide sounding. We start adding in some phasiness to the mix, but a little bit goes a long way here, and it sounds pretty fantastic to me. If we hit play, we'll see how much gain reduction we're doing.
I'm just trying to get to you.
I mean, it's like 15 to 18 dB of gain, but the way that this plugin works and operates, it is really smooth sounding, so it sounds very musical. If you want to hear what just the side information sounds like while it's getting compressed, we can push this S button. So we're going to monitor the side information. Let me just turn this to 0 so you hear what the side information sounds like without any compression. Okay, now if we turn up the compression, listen what it does. So it's raising up all of those, like the reverb tails and things like that, that's going to add a layer of depth to this mix. Now, all we need to do is rise up this side mix knob to add that width to this track.
I'm just trying to get to you. I'm just trying to make a move. I've been breaking all the rules for you. I'm just trying to keep my cool, 'cause you got me to get to you. I'm just trying to make a move.
It sounds much more musical than those other methods for this track. And I think we could get up anywhere from like 15 to maybe even 20% of this effect added to this mastering chain to really widen out the song. And it sounds good. Gives it a new layer of space that was missing before. So was there any of these 3 plugins that you thought sounded the best? Let me know in the comments below. Also, you should let me know how you widen your songs when you're mixing them. Do you use stereo enhancing plugins and change the width and the phase and all that stuff? Have you ever run into problems with your mixes sounding weird or phasey? Also, let me know in the comments. As a reminder, that first plugin I showed, the MSED plugin, that lives inside of my favorite free mixing and mastering plugins guide. You can download that in the description. And it's also going to include a ton of other free plugins that you can use to mix and master your music totally for free. And these are plugins that I've tested and used in a lot of songs, so I know they sound good, and I think you're going to find a lot of value out of that. With that, I want to thank you so much for your time and attention today. I'm Bobby Balo, the mixing and mastering engineer at Raytown Productions, and I hope to see you in another video.